Hello, and welcome to Having a Menty Bee with Sarah and Kim. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kim, and today we're here to talk about why we've decided to start a podcast.
We'd like to start by clarifying that we're by no means mental health experts. This is our own individual takes on our own mental health challenges because we've both been dealing with mental health since we were young adults. All right, so we're recording now.
Okay.
We're talking today about why we're having a podcast.
Okay.
Right. So I wanted to have a podcast because I'm currently in the middle of a mental health crisis and I wanted to document it because sometimes I feel like when I'm not having a mental health crisis, I'm like, it's fine. Everything's fine. It was all imagined.
Yeah.
Why did you want to do a podcast?
Honestly, when you texted me about it, so like I watch a lot of people on YouTube that do podcasts and stuff, so I've always thought it sounded kind of fun. But also when you said that you wanted to talk about mental health, I thought it might be a good way to kind of heal some of that. Like if we talked about it to maybe other people that had similar struggles, that it might help us heal a little bit from our trauma that we've had in our past.
And like just dealing with mental health on a daily basis takes a lot of work.
Yes, it does.
So
maybe we can have some insights into
maybe we can look at our own mental health and have some insights.
maybe.
I like that. Okay. So how did you first become aware that you had a mental health concern?
So when I first became aware that there was maybe something wrong, I had just turned 21 and I had moved out of my parents' house. And I think what happened is just like I started having to make a lot of decisions and I had never been given the like
Autonomy?
dignity, to take risks or like make my own decisions. And
Okay.
so when I moved out of my parents' house and I suddenly had all this ability to make decisions, I didn't know how to trust myself. I didn't know like anything about that.
That's fair.
So I think that's when I first started seeing one of the defining moments that I remember thinking like there is something wrong with me is Tyler and I were on our way out to my parents' house and we got into an argument and I pulled the car over, got out of the car and walked. This was like in the middle of winter and walked into the woods.
Oh,
and Tyler got out
dang.
of the car and like followed me into the woods and had to convince me to come back to the car.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like in my mind, that's like the first moment that I was like, I'm a crazy person. Something is wrong with me.
So you're not a crazy person.
Yes, I understand.
But yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
The first time I think I realized that maybe I had some mental health problems was also in my 20s. I had a breakdown when I was in high school,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what it was. I just knew my body didn't work properly and there was no reason for it not to work properly. And I would not be able to sleep. And I missed a bunch of school. The second half of my senior year, I didn't go to school.
What did you think that it was?
My mom thought it was like Lyme disease.
Okay.
Because I had tested positive for Lyme disease at some point, and she thought it was like an effect of Lyme disease.
A recurrence of it or something?
Something like that.
Okay.
But my sister had also had Lyme disease, and she was fine.
Okay.
And I remember the doctor prescribed me Paxil, and my mom was like, she doesn't need Paxil. And I took one dose, and I was up for 3 days straight after taking Paxil. And I learned later that type of medicine, when you're bipolar, it can like have an effect on you like that. And so when I found out I was bipolar, I was in my 20s and it was like I used to like come home from work on my lunch hour and lie on my floor with like a bag of frozen vegetables on my head and just cry. And my aunt would be like, okay, it's going to be okay. There's nothing wrong. Get yourself up, go back to work. You have to pay your mortgage. And so I would.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize I had like how bad my mental health was until my second round of postpartum depression when I went to my GP, who was prescribing me with an antidepressant at that point. And I made like a comment about how like I wasn't going to do anything to hurt my kids, but I understood why women killed their children.
Yeah.
That didn't go over well. I
Right.
got sent
I
to the ER.
remember when that happened, I think because we were working together at that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah. So then I went to the ER and did intake and had a really traumatic hospitalization experience. But the good that came out of it was that I connected with my psychiatrist and my psychologist, and I've had good treatment from them since then. So there's that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. But now that I'm like in the middle of another mental health crisis, I just feel like I wanted to take the time and like talk about it and talk about mental health because I know like a lot of my coworkers are so supportive and I know like they're really good people, but sometimes I feel like people don't know how to react or respond when you have mental health problems.
Yeah. Because they can't see it, it somehow is not as concrete to them. Like,
Yeah.
because it's more of abstract. And I feel like a lot of times if you've never had experience with mental health, then you kind of think, well, go for a jog or go out with your friends or something, or go take a bubble bath. I remember seeing this quote on the wall of somebody that I worked with. And it said something about like, your mental health, you have to have good mental health before you can get to the bubble baths and candle lighting and all of that stuff. I'll have to look up exactly what it was, but I remember that really resonating with me because it was like I've done all of these trainings for my job that are like, and I'm sure you have done them too, that are like trauma informed care training. And they will tell you like make time for self-care, and then they'll do this team building activity, right, where you have to take a note card and write down what's one thing that you do to self-care, and then they have people share and they'll be like, well, I like to read books, or I like to take a bubble bath. You know what I'm talking about?
That's I don't, and I don't know if it's because I dissociate when that stuff happens because my therapist today told me I'm really good at dissociating, so that was
Yeah,
fun.
I've been told that as well.
So, I don't know, but I also know, like, I'm not good at self-care.
Well, I think sometimes like what self-care means, I don't necessarily think is like necessarily what we've always been told. So when people think of self-care, I think a lot of times they think about like taking some time for yourself to like I said, like take a bubble bath, or like um read a book, or like go jogging. And I
Can
think
you read a book when you're in a mental
that's
health
exactly
crisis?
what I was going to say.
Because I can't.
No, I can't either. I can't concentrate. All I can read the words on the page. Like I am reading them, but my brain has no idea what I'm comprehending. Instead, I'm in a cyclical cycle in my head of thinking about whatever it is that is making me depressed or anxious or obsessive, whatever it is, like these perseverating thoughts.
Yeah. I'm trying to read a book right now that my psychiatrist recommended, which I like what I've read so far, but I'm on day 2 of reading this book and I'm literally on chapter 5
Do you have to keep
because
going back and like rereading because you realize you're not paying attention to the book?
no, I read like 2 pages and then I zone out and like get distracted by something like
Okay.
and then I come back and I'm like, "Oh, I've already read this." And I come back and I read 2 more pages and then I get distracted and then I come back and I read 2 more pages and then I get distracted. And like she has a good voice in the book that I'm reading, but like I was trying to read another book and she had a terrible voice and I just gave up.
Which I
Like
would say what happens in my brain doesn't look the same, but I cannot read a book, and that's one of my favorite things to do, which I know that is one of your favorite
I
things
love
to do
reading
as
books
well. Me too.
sometimes, but it's hard to read a book.
Yeah, or any of that stuff. Honestly, like when I am having some type of mental health crisis, I don't even like to take a shower
That's
because
true.
it's quiet time where I don't have something else distracting me and distracting my brain.
Oh,
So like,
see, my motivations for that are different
oh really?
because when I'm having a mental health crisis, taking a shower is hard because it's effort. Like,
it's like a task
it's
that
a
needs accomplished.
task.
Yes.
I have to get undressed. I have to get in the shower. I have to shower. I have to wash my hair. And then I have to get out and I have to deal with it. I have to deal with the fact that I have wet hair. I have to deal with the fact that, I don't know, I just showered. It's weird, but like dealing with it is part of my problem. And my husband doesn't understand because he's just like, well, just go get in a shower, soap up. It takes 30 seconds. And I'm like, right. But to mentally prepare myself to bathe takes 2 hours.
Yeah. And also there's that hill of like, I'm not sure if this is what it looks like, but also I don't know, there's kind of an everyday thing with some of that. Like I'm not sure if what that looks like for you, but um there is this like kind of everyday where I have to kind of convince myself to do tasks. That's kind of always there. I
Mhm.
don't know if
No,
that
that absolutely,
yeah,
like,
it's like every day when I wake up, I don't want to go to work. And I don't mean like, oh, I don't want to have a job. Nobody wants to work, but I just having that energy to get out of bed and to get dressed and there's this almost daily struggle that's like what am I doing with my life?
100%.
Yeah.
I understand that because like, I just saw a meme today. We speak meme, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I saw a meme today that was like, the hardest part of my day is deciding to get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Each day deciding that it's worth it to get up and go do something. And I feel like maybe you can relate to this because it might be exactly what you're feeling. Is especially if you feel like you're when you look at your job and you look at what you're doing on a day to day, you kind of think, what is the point of
See,
what I am doing?
I would actually say, like, in theory, my job is incredibly meaningful,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I would
it
agree with
takes
mine too. Yeah.
so much mental energy
Yes.
to get to a point where I feel like I can function appropriately, that I'm exhausted before I start, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of things or like a lot of is it like there's a lot of tasks that need done?
It's not even tasks. It's the, do I have the mental capacity to engage with others today?
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like well, correct me if I'm wrong. So are you talking about like masking?
Yeah.
Masking for other people? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I constantly have to
Oh, me
mask
too. Every day.
because I can't sit at my desk and cry. I don't have that kind of job.
Yeah.
And when I do sit at my desk and cry, it's very problematic. And so I don't. So masking is, I feel like the most exhausting part of my job because I have to be on
Yeah.
for like 7 hours straight.
Yeah.
And I come home and I collapse into a
Oh,
chair
yeah. You're just so exhausted.
and I'm so drained. I don't have the capacity to do anything that fills my cup.
Right. And that's looping back around to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Specifically about self-care. Self-care is not necessarily taking a bath. Like you said, you don't have the mental energy to even do anything that's going to fill your cup up because like you don't have the capacity to do that. How are you supposed to have the energy to do those things when you spent all day
Surviving.
yeah, exactly. You're like in a survivalist mentality. And I don't know when so what my masking generally looks like, exactly what you're talking about, like putting on a happy face for other people. But also there's this part of it when you talk about survival that is like, I don't know. I don't know if it's called like fawning. I can't remember. I don't know what the term for it is.
There's like flight, fight, freeze, and fawn.
Okay. So I feel like a lot of time I'm in that like fawning thing almost where like I will every day around other human beings. And this is true even with when I'm with my husband. This is true even right now while we're sitting here. My brain subconsciously and sometimes consciously analyzes the smallest details of anyone's nonverbal uh
Persona.
communication, yeah, and what they're saying, their tone of voice, whatever. And the whole point of that is so that I can determine if I am safe. So I can know if someone's mad at me, so I can know if someone isn't happy with like my work. I do it with my boss, like I do it with everybody. And so then I put on this very much what I would even call like a feminine, like I don't know how to describe it, like a feminine, like a, you know what I mean?
Kind of. I don't really actually, because that's not how I do.
Yeah.
But like, I get the whole not wanting people to be mad at me and doing whatever it takes to make sure that nobody is mad at me, because I constantly feel like the world is mad at me.
Yeah. Same. And so I spend all of my time micro analyzing everyone's verbal and nonverbal communication so that I can determine if somebody is mad at me. Okay, you were talking about memes. I saw this meme that was like, this guy, and he said, oh, I can't remember exactly, but he was like, oh, you know that feeling where you're looking at somebody and you think they're mad at you? Why don't we just pretend that they're actually thinking positive things about you? Oh, you're saying it's because you don't know if they're thinking positive things about you? You also don't know if they're thinking negative things about you, which is a very fair point. Like, you don't know what anyone else is thinking, so why not just lie to yourself and say there's positive things? Not that I've ever been able to do that. I'm just saying it's a fair point.
I mean, that's probably good advice. I know my boss has worked really hard with me on assuming positive intent in other people.
Yes.
And that is something that I constantly struggle with,
Oh,
because
me too.
I can assume that people are doing good things, but I struggle so hard with thinking that people are mad at me, or that people are disappointed in me,
Yeah.
or that I've done something wrong, even if like consciously I know I haven't done anything wrong. But what if what I did appears to be wrong to somebody because of their perception? And that is, it kills me.
It does, and I spend and I feel the same way about it, and I spend a large part of every single day reminding myself, or trying to remind myself, that if I have positive intent when I am saying something to somebody else, and they decide to take that in a negative way and come back at me with a negative response, that is on them for perceiving what I have said negatively, when I'm just out here trying my best every single day, just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Which is a very hard thing to try to tell yourself.
It is hard.
And I have to say, like, when my therapist, which I guess we haven't talked about that yet, that we're both in therapy.
Yay, therapy.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. I'll read an email at work, and I will read it, and for some reason, my brain always wants to put like a negative tone on everything.
Mhm.
Exactly what you're talking about, like being disappointed or angry. And so I'll read something where it's like somebody will literally just be asking a question, like an information seeking question, and I will take it as a
Like an
criticism.
attack.
Yes, yes, an attack or a criticism of my ability to do my job or to be a competent human being.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, right now, since this is our first episode, can we talk a little bit about my current mental health crisis?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So, my current mental health crisis is, I don't know what incited it. It just, one day I woke up crying and I couldn't get out of bed.
How long ago? Like a week ago?
About a week ago.
Okay.
About a week ago.
Okay.
Sorry. I can't not. So I went and I called my boss and I said, I really need to see my therapist. I am not doing well and I don't know why. And she was so gracious. And so I went and saw my therapist, and my therapist was like, you are having a mental health crisis and we should probably have talked before it got to this point. And I was like, yeah, but I thought I was okay, because I thought, like, if I can just make it to Thanksgiving and take a break, I'll be okay. Or if I can make it to the
Yeah.
holidays and like have a break from work, I'll be okay. And everything that I was benchmarking came and went, and I was not okay. And I woke up one day and I was like, I am not okay. And then I like felt like the poster child for Jelly Rolls theme song, right? You know, the I'm not okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Barely getting by.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I went and saw my therapist, and she was like, you need to take a break from work and you need to see your psychiatrist. And so I saw my psychiatrist, and she was like, you need to do some inpatient, outpatient hospitalization stuff. And this is new to me. Like, you'd think, as a person who's been bipolar since they were like in their 20s. Well, I guess I've been bipolar for a long time,
Your
but
whole life. Yeah.
diagnosed in my
Yes.
20s. You would think that I would like know how this stuff works, right? But I don't. So it's like I got the referral from my doctor last week, and then today, then I'm not a very patient person. I don't know if you know this about me. I don't do well with waiting around for things. I like things to happen when I
Yeah.
decide for them to happen.
Right.
So the day after my doctor made the referral, I called the hospital and I was like, "Hey, have you got my referral yet? Because I haven't heard from you." And they were like, "Yeah, it's going to take up to 72 hours." And I was like, "Oh, this is not okay."
Yeah.
And I had to wait, and it forced me to wait. So I ordered a bunch of books on Amazon, and I've been trying to read books, but as we know, that doesn't work well with my
No.
brain. So then I have been today I went to therapy and talked to my therapist, and it was good. It was productive. And she was like, "So you've been sick lately?" And I was like, "Yeah, but there's no reason. Like, I'm not contagious sick, but like I can't stop going to the bathroom
Yeah.
and I have a pit in my stomach and I'm having chest pains and there's no reason for this." And she's like, "Well, your feelings are being felt, and you probably have had feelings like this for so long, but you've just like sloughed them off to the side and didn't
Right.
know that you were having them." So long story short, while I'm in therapy today, the hospital calls and said that I have to go for what do you call those things where you like go for a visit and you like look at different options? The only word I can think of is inauguration, and that's the wrong word. Orientation.
Well, yes, an orientation.
So I have to go to an orientation. And after I go to orientation, then I have to go to intake. And then after my intake, they'll decide how severe my mental health crisis is. And then they'll put me in a program. So yeah, it's like, hurry up and wait.
Yeah. And when you have mental health and potentially your like window of tolerance for like dealing with your emotions is very small anyway because of past trauma,
Yeah.
that makes it even harder.
Yeah. So I am trying to not vomit, trying to not spend all my days in the bathroom, trying to read and like productively do things with my brain, which brings us back to why we're having a podcast.
Yes.
So,
Because you're actually having a Menty bee.
because I'm actually having a Menty bee.
Yes.
And right now I'm masking, but we're only at 20-ish minutes. So I can hold it together for 20 minutes.
I know what you mean though. Even when you are around people that you feel safe with, you still I remember having this conversation with my therapist talking about how like nobody actually knew me. I felt like nobody knew me because even when I'm around people that feel safe with, I still mask to a certain degree. Maybe not as much.
Yeah.
But you don't want people to hate you,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Because you're like, this trauma is my burden.
Yeah.
And I don't want the people around me to hate me because at least this is just like the negative self-talk, not necessarily saying that people with mental health are messed up, but I would say to myself, like, you don't want people around you to know how messed up you are, right? Because then you're afraid they won't love you.
There's a reason this is a podcast and not a video.
Yes. For now.
Well, that's it for this episode of Having a Mentee Bee with Sarah and Kim. We wish you good mental health, and we hope you'll meet us here again next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a positive review or whatever it is that you do for podcasts.
We hope you have heard something in this episode that you have connected with and you've been mildly entertained. If you are dealing with your own mental health challenges, we both encourage you to reach out to a trusted provider or call or text 988.